Everybody keeps talking about AI replacing musicians, but the real question is, are you AI replaceable? The truth is some artists will be replaced, but not for the reasons you think. Let's break down what's coming in the next 5 years and how to stay ahead of it. Let's talk about how artists used to make money. Back in the day, you had to create an album, and I remember when people would get done with their albums, we would master it, and they'd be so excited they would have to buy 1,000 CDs, and then they would have to stand outside of a grocery store or go to shows, perform at shows, and sell CDs hand to hand. They used to sell CDs out the trunk. People were trying to get on the radio. Most people didn't. There was local radio stations and things like that that people could get on, like Sunday night sound sessions here in Seattle. Hopefully you'd build a local buzz big enough to where a record label would notice. People tried to send in demo tapes and stuff like that, but that didn't work that well for most people. The ultimate goal was to get signed. And if you've been around long enough, you know how many people got screwed over getting signed. But still, everybody was clawing at the chance to get that, because that was one of the only ways that you could do that. That's how you got distribution in a Circuit City. Shout out to Circuit City. You guys remember Radio Shack? Anyways, a lot of local artists based themselves around doing shows. So performances were big and building a local buzz was big. That was one of the only ways that you were able to get enough people to start earning money. There wasn't a ton of revenue streams back then. You just had to be able to hustle. But how does an artist build a career nowadays? Man, you know I'm about to say short form content. You need a personality, a story, a way to communicate who you are to the listeners. And you see me preaching about this all the time, of course. You need a ton of revenue streams. Obviously, streaming is one of them, but that doesn't pay a lot unless you're getting an insane amount of views. Yes, you still need to do shows. I feel like that will always be a thing. See, back in the day, people had to make music videos that looked good and they had to really package things very carefully. But nowadays, you can just throw a terrible looking clip online, and if the content is good, it's good. Right now, it's not about building a hit, although that would be nice still, but it's about building an audience. It's about building a channel and a brand. Although it was always about building a brand, the way you go about it nowadays changes things. It's supposed to feel a lot more personal than before. You could be a lot more vulnerable to your audience, and they reward that kind of thing. Of course, we're in the beginning days of AI. AI content is flooding the internet right now, and it's going to change how the algorithms work and how it defines content that is valuable to its watchers. People think AI is just going to be everywhere and that's it, but the truth is people still crave authenticity. I think they always will, no matter what AI does. Before AI, there was all these like nameless, faceless channels that would do text-to-speech kind of stuff, and it'd be like the 7 best lawnmowers of 2026. They would just list off details of the lawnmower and they wouldn't have an opinion behind it or any real experience. It's just literally creating lists and making videos about those lists. AI is going to be really good at that. AI is going to make sure that the internet is overflooded with that. And we as viewers of that content are going to get bored really quickly. In fact, we're already bored. I don't want to see somebody making some list video about lawnmowers. I want to know your opinion about that lawnmower. Does it suck? What's the battery life like? Let's talk about Suno merging with Warner and the future of all of the other big record companies merging with Suno. All these big record companies suing Suno is not about getting money and helping out musicians or anything like that. It's about leverage and merging with that company. I bet Warner is going to want to use Suno to create models that potentially pay musicians, license their likeness, their IP, and use it for whatever they want. For example, if a new site comes out or a new app where you get to use a Suno or a Warner version of Suno and you put that song out, all of a sudden there's going to be content IDs that are attached to it that you're going to have to label and potentially give up rights to. The record labels have been quietly buying up people's catalogs these last 5 years or so. People you may not have heard of, people that are doing okay, people that are doing pretty good, everybody in between. These record labels want that IP. And guess what they're going to do with it? Going forward, what's going to happen is we're going to have to be very careful where we upload our music to if we want to maintain our IP. I remember when all these apps started taking people's data and using it and selling it to other companies. Everybody was like, what's going on here? They're stealing our data. They're spying on us. We could talk about having an ice machine, and all of a sudden I'm seeing ice machine ads in my feed. Some of these apps got in trouble because they didn't really ask for consent, or if they did, it was very secretly placed in the terms of service. And man, were people mad. But fast forward to now, and it's just like normal. We accept that by having a cell phone, people are going to take our data and use it for whatever they want. We may not like it, but it's the norm. AI scrubbing the internet, using it as training data to build technology that they are going to profit off of, is exactly what is going to happen, and there's nothing we can do about it. You guys want to hear my AI song?
Yeah, dude. I love AI.
Let's talk about the next 5 years. In the future, a high majority of the art that is published is going to be AI assisted, at least. There will be floods and floods of people just making thousands of pseudo-variated versions of songs. TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, Meta, are all going to support this, and they're all going to create developing tools for us to use. We might have to opt in for our voices, our likeness to be scanned and used for training data. It might not even seem that crazy by then. It might seem just normal. And this is a tough part of the topic because you already know that it's already happening. They're already training off of us, and everything that we create is going to be used as training data. We will see more synthetic or hybrid artists being pushed through the mainstream, and that will become normal as well. People that write books will just use open labs to take their identity real quick, to take their voice, and use it to write the audible version of it. It's definitely going to be tough for people who narrate books right now. But here's the thing. Human creators with more personality and more willingness to be content creators will do much better. Live performances will be strong. Going live at live shows will be strong. Showing raw emotion, displaying what it's like to be a human, sadly enough, is something to talk about. But just like how back in the day, some artists would fake who they are on stage, it's harder and harder to do that now. Artists have to be more authentic, and it's going to become more so in the future. Now, I'm not saying that you have to sit in the living room with the artist, but guess what? There's already streamers that are doing that kind of stuff. Didn't Justin Bieber just start doing this with The Warehouse? He's like hanging out and doing stuff, playing basketball, live streaming the whole thing. How come iShowSpeed is bigger than most television? That is the new celebrity right now, and it's going to get more and more so that way in the future. Building a story, a brand, and multiple entertainment sources built into that will be what wins. Music just happens to be your channel. Let's talk about ways you could adapt. Don't think about just being a musician. Think about being a face-based brand. I know people don't want to see this, really, but this is my experiment. I don't necessarily want to be in front of the camera, but I'm trying this out. Build a community outside of algorithmic-based platforms. This would be like email lists and Discord and things like that. I'm going to dive deeper in this in other videos, but that's the idea. Own your voice and your likeness. Your IP is like a stock. If your stock goes up, people are going to want to buy it. If you sell it too soon, you might leave a lot of money on the table. Uh-oh, here's one. Use AI to help with your output. It's like you're a whole record label and entertainment company all wrapped into one. And how can you possibly do all that by yourself, especially in the beginning? You're going to need help, and the people that are able to get more stuff done are going to win. I'm not in the camp of don't let AI into your life. I love moving forward with technology, and I want it to help me go further and get more things done. I want you to double down on live performances. This is huge for me. I'm talking about putting on a show. I'm not talking about just going up there for nothing. Doing shows is a great way to build content, to show behind the scenes of how you are building your life as a musician and growing. It's a real human way to connect with fans. It's an incredible way to sell merch, by the way. Obviously, I know anybody who's been doing this long enough knows all this stuff already, whatever. The reason why I mention merch is because you're going to have to come up with a lot of clever ways to sell things to your audience. There are different things that people could sell at a show besides just your face. It's not about just being a musician, it's about being a content creator. The best content creators are going to be the most known musicians. And we're going to see this develop more and more throughout the next couple years. If you don't want to be a content creator, it's going to be really hard to get your stuff out there. I want you to triple down on telling your story. What's your point of view on everything? It might seem boring to you, but what are you doing day to day that might be interesting to somebody else? I want you to think about short form content and long form content as separate categories. Start thinking of longer form content ideas that you could then chop up into smaller video ideas. Even a music video. I thought music videos were dead, but honestly, I really love the idea of creating about 20 small clips from music videos that are behind the scenes, that are different versions of the same music video, just little parts of it at least. Get more out of the video shoot that you're doing. have some friends come in and follow you around with cameras the whole time. Or if not, do what I'm doing and hold a camera. One of the biggest things here is diversifying your income streams. Back in the day, it was mostly shows, merch, and CD sales. Nowadays, you could do courses, you could build custom songs for people, create limited releases of items, may not even have to do with music, branding, all that good stuff. Learn all about AI, ethics, and how to protect yourself in the future. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. These guys are interrupting my video.
Campfire time.
Okay. Give me an E.
I love campfires. Long story short, AI is probably going to replace some musicians, but especially musicians that don't adapt to the future. I remember when TikTok first came out, that was one of the first platforms I saw older musicians be like, nah, I'm skipping that. And now look where we are. All those musicians can't even keep up in today's world. Already, the next 5 years are all going to be about building a brand, being a content creator, and paying attention to how people are making money in the music business. If you're not studying that, you are easily replaceable. I may love your music, but if I've never heard it, because I can't find you online, which I'm not just actively looking for musicians randomly online, then I will never hear you. I will never hear your music. There's something great about being a musician, but at the same time, allowing yourself to embrace the content side of it. A lot of people don't want to do this, and I don't really understand why. It takes a lot to learn how to create music. It takes your whole life to get good at this. I've learned that it's harder to swim upstream. About 10 years ago, I started to get into camera equipment and filming and shooting and editing, Photoshop and all that kind of stuff. These are all skills that you want to pick up along the way. So don't stop. So don't be like, oh, that's not me. Because the only other way around that is to spend an insane amount of money for that to be somebody else for your music. And nobody's got that much cash just sitting around. Especially for how long it's going to take, or how much content you need to build. Keep an eye on these record companies and these AI companies, because they're going to change the music industry, just like how these big record companies bought into Spotify, and now they own a piece of Spotify. Right now, these record companies have influence on the biggest platform for streaming music, and they are changing the rules whenever they feel like it. I could be mad at it, or I could use that information to my advantage. Tomorrow, I want you to make a video and post it. If you don't know how to edit videos, use that video as an excuse to learn how to edit something.